Hey guys, HuShang here. Today we'll be learning a Dark Templar drop against Terran. Now, I don't want to get you guys too excited, but this build is seriously going to make Terran players lose their effing minds. Now, I might get a little bit too enthusiastic during this guide and miss some steps, so you can download the full build order from my website. The link is in the description, so go grab that right away so you can follow along. Also, I know there's a lot of guides, StarCraft guides here on YouTube, but I can promise you that this is by far the best channel to get Protoss build orders, tactics, strategy, so make sure to subscribe if you want to get notified about all my newest videos. Now, lastly, I don't want to pressure you guys at all, but I'll have you know that all of the coolest individuals make sure to press like when they're watching HuShang tutorials. So if you don't want to be a loser, make sure to go do that right away, and let's get into the video. Alright nerds, so we've got into the beginning. We've skipped a little bit here, but all you need to really know is that we went for a Nexus first build, and if you're not familiar with that opening, then you can go check out one of my guides for beginner players, or you can just follow the build order in the description. So we're opening up with a Stalker here, and we're not going to be moving out with our Adept like some of the Cyber First builds, although you can kind of do that with this build anyways. But basically, we're going to go for one Stalker, and then we're going to grab our Robotics Facility with the next 100 gas. So I try to follow all my build orders by going by the gas and constant probe production, which I think is the best way to memorize build orders. It's a little bit less things to memorize. You just need to know the order. So we throw down the Robo first, which is not actually very standard with you know, a DT build or a Twilight build. Usually you want to go Twilight first, but I think this actually lines up a lot better as long as we don't make this second unit. And you don't really need that second unit so quickly anyways. And this is going to deceive a lot of Terran players, I think. If they try to scout you right now, which is a very common scout timing, if you go Robo then Twilight, they're going to think, oh wow, this is definitely not a DT drop. This is much more you know, passive defensive play because you're delaying the Twilight. But it actually works out exactly the same. So Robo first, then we're gonna go Twilight. And again, the timings won't work out properly if you make the Stalker first, but because we make the Twilight before the second Stalker, it's gonna work out really, really nicely. So one Stalker, then Robo, then Twilight, and then second Stalker. And because we delayed this a little bit, I would recommend you chrono boost this Stalker. This is also a build that you know, really doesn't need a lot of chrono boost, such as builds like Blink or Stargate, where you know, you're chrono boosting your tech. So you actually have quite a few more probes than normal. So this chrono boost, which is normally a bad thing, is totally justified. And of course, we're building constant probes here. And the next kind of weird thing is normally you add your gates pretty quickly, but we're going to delay those a bit more than normal. And we're going to do that so that we can grab this War Prism very quickly. And I'm going to show you the advantage to this in a second. And the AI is going to try to make me look terrible, but I can promise you this is a good play on on ladder. So we're going to make this War Prism, then we're going to grab the Dark Shrine, and we're going to rally this War Prism away from the front, like basically to the edge of the screen, edge of the map, and you're going to move it along here and then to the Terran base. So basically what this does is you hide it from, you know, the Reaper that's usually patrolling from the middle of the map to the third base. So there's usually a Reaper, you know, checking if you're expanding and then seeing if you're moving out. And so by putting the War Prism over here and then to their base, you're basically going to, you know, hide it from the Terran, which means they're going to have no idea you're doing any sort of Dark Templar play. And of course, these Stalkers can deny some vision as well at this point. So I'll change this rally point in a second. And then at about 42 supply after the War Prism, very important that's after the War Prism, is you want to add on 2 gates. And we're going to put these at the front because if you don't make a wall, we're very low on units, and we're very late on the gateways. So if you don't make a wall and they do some sort of like Hellion build, you're going to be in trouble. So make sure you get this, and then the War Prism is going around. Actually, this is just a replay against AI, but you want to maybe rally this a little bit farther back because this is possible to see if they come right up to your wall. I mean, they're going to lose the Reaper, but they will see your War Prism, which we don't want. So make sure to send this a little farther back. There's enough time to get it around farther and then still get to their base on time. So there's no need to worry about that at all. And then, like I said earlier, this AI is trying to make me look bad for some reason. So it's doing this really wild scout across the sides of the map for literally no reason. like no real person would ever do this scout. But because I'm trying to show you guys that we're hiding this War Prism, this AI is doing the most obnoxious scout ever. So this will never happen on your ladder games, I guarantee it. But yeah, AI trying to make me look bad. And behind this, we're going to be grabbing some pylons and the gases. I actually want to go back and show you this part specifically because I think this is really crucial, especially if you're not great at defending, you know, counterattacks or multitasking. So what we're going to do is after we get these gates, and you continue probing, of course, you're not missing probes here, you're going to grab a pylon on the natural behind the mineral line. And then we're going to grab another pylon in a second behind this mineral line. Well, it can be here. It doesn't matter exactly where, but it has to be by the mineral line because we're going to place shield batteries right in the middle on both bases. And the reason this is justified, normally this is bad, but because we have no units and we're going to invest the next warp in with the DTs, it's really, really powerful to get some shield batteries here, which basically protects you against banshees, maybe a little bit against Hellion drops, and just in general any sort of you know, pressure. Marine drop would be really, really helpful to have some shield batteries with your stalkers. So we're gonna grab those, and in order to do that, you really need these pylons here. Okay, but the order is, you know, one pylon, then gases, and then the second pylon. And I always like to do multiple triggers. So if you want to memorize, you know, when to get these pylons and gases, one is early 40 supply. So like 42 was this first pylon. And then another trigger that you can use to remember these is that your mineral line is fully saturated. So once you get to 16, double gas. Then we'll grab another pylon up here. And our War Prism is getting along. It's almost halfway there. We're not going to do any more warp-ins, although I suppose you could warp in one more stalker and probably still afford everything. That might actually be a good idea. And then once your pylons are done, you can throw down 2 shield batteries. Boom, boom. Sweet. I put them here because they don't really block the minerals too much. But I suppose you could, you know, put them behind. This one's a little better than behind, I think, because you can heal these probes. Although it definitely does slow down the probing a little bit. And then, I'm not sure if you can get away with this all the time. I think a lot of really good Terrans will put their, you know, depot over here or over here. But this is a super wide map. So I think on a map like this, you know, you might be able to sneak the Warp Prism in and just warp in right in their main, which is really, really fast compared to what Terrans are used to. Or you can just warp in over here. Like, it's not a big deal to warp in over here, pick up, and then drop them. That's what Protoss usually do, but I would recommend you try and see if there is a hole here. Because if you can warp in these, you know, what is this, 10, 15 seconds faster and way less effort, then you should do it. So these Dark Templar are in here by 440, which is honestly absolutely disgusting. Like, this is so fast. It's going to be before a Raven is out with a lot of builds. And, you know, I think a lot of Terrans put their turret down here at like 430. So this is super, super fast. And you can get a lot of damage done with this build. You can also, even if they do have a Raven or a scanner or whatever, and their Marines are here, you can actually attack the Marines with the DTs. And then as soon as they scan, you have your War Prism close by and you can just pick up the DTs. So very, very strong build. Behind this, there's lots of ways to progress. You can get a Robo Bay, you can get Blink like I'm doing, and then a Forge. Or you can just make a lot of Stalkers here and start, you know, amping up the pressure even more. DTs plus Blink Stalkers. So this is a very aggressive build. You can do a lot of damage. You can win a lot of games just with the DTs. And yeah, it's super, super fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next one.